This episode is sponsored by Proverbs 31 Business Systems. Are you tired of feeling like your business depends on you for everything? If your business slows down every time you step away, you may be the bottleneck. At Proverbs 31 Business Systems, we help faith-driven, service-based entrepreneurs build systems, workflows, and automation that allow their businesses to run without burnout. Take the 5-minute bottleneck test to discover what's really slowing your business down and what to fix first. Simply scan the QR code shown on the screen or visit proverbs31businesssystems.com. Now let's get into today's episode.
Virtuous woman, she's worth more than gold. She doesn't.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming the Proverbs 31 Woman podcast. My name is Shoma Kende, also known as Special Agent Chi, your host. And on today's show, we have Dr. Anissa Short. Dr. Anissa Short, affectionately known as the Success Strategist, is an international bestseller author, speaker, business strategist, podcast host, producer, and director of the Chosen Pen Group. With more than 20 years of business experience, 11 years as a federal employee, advanced degrees in administration, and 12 authored books, she helps women embrace purpose, lead, and confidence, amplify their voice, and build sustainable success. Welcome to the show, Dr. Anissa. Welcome.
Thank you, Special Agent Chi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. So, Dr. Anissa, can you tell us in one sentence what you do?
Amplify the voices of others is what I do.
I like that. So for those meeting you for the first time, can you share who you are, the work you do, and through the Chosen Pen Group?
Sure, I would, but let me just say this first. Thank you once again for the opportunity to be a part of this endeavor. What I do is work with, I used to say I work with women exclusively. That's not so much the case now. However, 99% of the people that I work with are still women. So my endeavor is to encourage them to embrace the fact that their voice has value. And regardless of the roles in which they serve, I serve to assist them with publishing their signature book through the platform of the Chosen Pen Group. I have, by way of my media platform, Conversations with Chosen Pen and Amplified with Dr. Anissa Short, which are both podcasts. I provide them another opportunity to amplify, of course, their voice, their message, their movement. And then there have been some unique cases. Every situation is a little different. But some of the people that I've had the opportunity to serve, not only did we work with them on getting their book published and even assisting them with the exposure on podcasts and platforms such as that, but they've even established their own speaking platforms. And so we help them with the creation of their signature speeches, helping them get their landing pages and media kits and things of that nature done. Ultimately, I want people to know when they work with me that their voice has value, and that our role is to help them amplify their voice from message to movement, because we believe that every life experience should be shared because there's someone waiting to hear your story.
Wow, amazing. No, that's amazing what you do. Like in terms of getting them from just, their voice, like you're amplifying. That's the real amplification in terms of getting them book and a podcast.
Absolutely.
That
Exactly.
is like
Yeah.
a definite application. So when did you first sense this calling to do this?
I wish. Well, first and foremost, I started working. I made a decision in 1999 to become a part of a direct sales company. And as a result of working as a federal employee full time, this was my side hustle. This was my other little gig. And in the course of being connected with that company, I became a leader in the company, which translated to not only offering the products and services, but training the sales force, which comprised of mostly women. So that included training workshops, weekly success sessions, hosting retreats, things of that nature. It included helping them to understand how to manage their time, manage their emotions, things that we need to know and to perfect or strengthen those muscles that we need to strengthen to become successful entrepreneurs. It is as a result of working in that community that I became connected with other people who were mostly women building businesses within the walls of their home. And that's when I made a decision to publish my first book to assist that community of women. It was through the decision to publish that book that I met my publisher, Dr. Norma McLaughlin, who then became my mentor. And she spoke into my life to tell me that the platform of becoming an author was going to catapult me to a greater platform than the one I'd already built. And I was not thinking of doing anything else. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chioma. Once I finished that book, I was done. But as course, as time goes on, almost 10 years later, I've not only published several other books, but I've been on stages to discuss some of the same principles, success principles I shared in that direct sales market and in other networking circles. So I believe that my gifts made room for me. I never thought I'd be in the industry of publishing or media, but because I walked through doors open for me, I found myself in this space and I don't regret it one bit.
Wow, that's an amazing story of how you got here. But so
Yeah.
you're known as the success strategist. What does success mean to you when with faith, purpose, and just leadership at at the center?
For me personally, success means being able to create the life that I love without compromising the values I honor. I'm a woman of faith. The Bible is my blueprint. And I don't consider myself perfect because I'm still waiting to see who that is that's walking on the earth. But I do know that I found myself in various other um, opportunities in working in corporate and working in the government where decisions had to be made that I didn't feel really good about. I'm thankful that I'm able to create the success I desire, to hit the goals in which I desire, to create the lifestyle I desire, knowing that I don't have to compromise who I am and what I believe. That's success for me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. With more than you said, 20 years of business experience, 11 years of federal employee, what did those seasons teach you about like discipline, leadership, and preparation? Because that is, you have some
it
experience
it is. Let me tell
behind your
you,
bills.
one of the things I can say, the common denominator with no matter which, because I was in marketing and retail, I was in banking and finance, I did a little bit of manufacturing, I was in the customer relations side. One of the common denominators across the board was I always inadvertently became the mentor, mentee, trainer, regardless. So those opportunities afforded me an ability to perfect my skills, to become comfortable with facilitating workshops, to become comfortable with creating the material necessary to communicate to the crowd or the people or the community of people that in which I were going to speak for or speak to, and so that way when I transition into this, it's like I'm still in my same wheelhouse. I'm just playing in a different sandbox, but it's still the
Mm,
same skill set.
yeah.
So those positions, those opportunities taught me, um, gave me, afforded me opportunity to build on my gifts and talents that were already innate. They also helped me to see what I what I liked and didn't like, about corporate America. It
Hmm.
opened up doors of opportunity that I probably would not have had otherwise, but it prepared me for what I'm doing now. It really did. It really does. It really did and does.
Wow. So it's like in every factor you wear like that
Yeah, it
mentor. So
is.
God was
And look
showing
at,
you.
yeah, and I didn't realize it at the time, Shioma, I must admit, but when I look back at things in retrospect, I can see where the dots connect. I see it
Hmm.
very clearly now. But at the
Hmm.
time, I was just taking advantage of one opportunity after another. And of course, and enjoying the ride. Let me say, well, most of the times, every now and then I did enjoy, but nevertheless, the doors that were open afforded another opportunity for me to become better or to
Hmm.
be exposed to something more, to be able to see things from a bigger platform. And so for all of that, I'm grateful.
That's good. No, that's good. So was there ever a moment where you realized that your voice or your story was not just for you, but for the women that you called to serve?
It was. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was in college, I may have been 19, maybe around 19. I hadn't graduated yet. But I remember vividly where I stood on the campus and I heard a voice, which I know now to be God, that told me to change my major. Because at one time, when I needed to change my major to business, to have a more holistic scope of the platform of business, because one day I would coach and consult women in business. Now, when that was conveyed to me, the term coach that we hear often now was not common. So it didn't make sense. I was like, what is a coach? I mean, how am I going to coach women in that? What type of job description is that? Is what I was thinking, right? Fast forward when I was a part of the direct sales community in a leadership capacity and began to not only facilitate workshops and trainings for the women that I was responsible for that were a part of my organization, but then I was asked from others to be a part of participating on a larger scale. It was then that I began to realize that when I speak, people listen. And I'm
Mm.
like, well, that's the gift from God. It wasn't because I was so grand, but it was something I said, or either the way I said it, or the manner in which I said it. But people resonated with what I shared, and even the decision to write my very first book, to publish it, came by way of the need for me to place all of the information that I had planned to share in a vehicle that I could then sell to people, because women had started calling and referring me to others
No.
who needed help. So I
Mm.
didn't, it wasn't that I woke up one morning and said, here I am, hear me. It's because others began to request. And I'm saying, okay, there's something to this. And even my husband, who was my number one supporter, was like, you need to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of the others around me that helped me to see it really.
Nice. Oh, no, God put the good people around you to,
Yeah,
to
that's
cultivate
true.
that gift.
Yeah,
That's
I believe
good.
that.
That's good. So your signature message, your voice has value. What does that mean to you personally?
It's another way for me to convey the message that the word of God gives us. And there's a scripture that says you should decree and declare a thing and it shall be so.
Hmm.
That means your voice has value. There's another scripture that says we overcome by the blood of the lamb and the word of our testimony. That adds value, right?
Hmm.
And then there's the scripture that says we have been given authority. So I believe when I look at all of those scriptures and encapsulate them into one, when I communicate, your voice has value. I believe your voice has has the ability to not only heal and transform your own life, but others as well. And when we go through interesting times in our lives and we
Yeah.
survive those interesting times, we owe it to the next person and we owe it to ourselves. And then on top of that, Chioma, with me working with clients and publishing their books, I know firsthand clients who began their journey of telling their stories and they have tears in their eyes, and their tears turn to laughter and they heal. It's become a very writing becomes a very cathartic experience for them. That's because they're giving voice to their message. So when I say your voice has value, I mean all of that and then some.
Yes. So why do you believe like maybe so many women struggle with that to believe like their voice, has a story or is valuable? Why do you feel like a lot of women, I mean, I know you work with this, but mostly women. I know it sounds
Yeah.
just mostly. Why do you feel most women struggle with that?
I think their confidence levels are not where they need to be. And I really believe it's because they're not in the right community. We thrive in community. And oftentimes it was the voices of others that helped build my confidence and courage to go to the next level and to walk through open doors. And so I believe that while women sometimes internally they know that they have a testimony, they have a remarkable story, because they've not been in the right community to encourage them to take the next step, they don't do what's or to even challenge them to take the next step. So because some people need to be pushed to the next level. I was one of those people. So I have just taken it upon myself to be that pusher. I want to
I
be the
know, that's
person
right.
to flip the script, to flip the switches and push the buttons, as
Mhm.
one of my friends say. So, and even those communities help build the confidence. So it has to do with community. I really believe in the mentorship principle. I believe in the importance of the right community for people to go to the next level.
So can you tell us more about the Chosen Pen Group and the work that you do with this with the entrepreneur with women? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you for that question. So the Chosen Pen Group is really the publishing platform. We
Okay.
publish books. We work with, as I said before, men and women, but mostly women. The types of books that we publish must educate, encourage, and empower with their inspirational books. They must be consistent with our values. Okay. So we publish memoirs, devotionals, self-help books, inspirational fiction. We publish children's books. We do everything from helping them with the cover creation to getting everything uploaded to print. We even help with a little bit of marketing on the backside. That's one element of what we do. As shared before, when we're working with specific clients, not all of our clients, but some of them, we realize that their message should go to another level. There may be, let's say, they may already be inspirational speakers and they need the book to enhance their speaking platform. So we coach them on how to marry the two, and then sometimes they don't have the speaking platform, but they endeavor to start one. So we help coach them through that process as well. Another element of what we do as a company is our initiative I call Books and Bridges. That's our literacy component where we really embrace the importance of literacy for children. And so we've been very instrumental in getting books in the hand of children, not only on the state side, but outside of the United States. Our very first international endeavor was taking books to a school in Johannesburg, South Africa. And
Mm.
since that time, we've sent books to Ghana as well as Kenya. And right now, even now, I'm working with an orphanage right here in my state of Mississippi to get books in the hands of children this summer with a summer reading showcase. So I'm showcasing children book authors, whether they publish with us or not, showcasing them on my podcast platform. And at the same time, we're collaborating together to get books in the hands of children.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, how about Nigeria? Hey,
You
I
know
like
what? All I
Nigeria
need is a
too.
contact. That's all I need is a contact.
Nigeria too. No, but that's amazing and impactful of just literacy because that's where it starts is the beginning, getting them in that foundation infancy stage,
Most
getting those
definitely.
books
Most
in that
definitely.
stage. That's a very good impact that you're doing. So what
Thank you.
transformation do women experience after working with you and being part of your platform?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you one example, and I use this example all the time. She doesn't mind me giving her name. It's Dr. Terry Hunt. Dr. Terry reached out to me in 2023 looking for someone to publish her book. She had an interaction or two with some other companies, was scammed, didn't really feel good about, I'm not sure the full magnitude, but nevertheless, she said God told her she needed to write her story. She was very apprehensive because some of the content in the book of things that she experienced, childhood trauma, some abuse and things of that nature, but she knew because God told her the book needed to be published. So she reached out to me by way of social media. We had a conversation. She said she wanted to pray about it. The first of 2024, she called me back and she said, God told me to work with you. So we got started. At which time she couldn't really do the writing herself because she'd had some surgery. So I think maybe it was carpal tunnel. So I became her ghostwriter. So the first step was to get the book written. And then the next step, of course, the publishing phase of things. And it was through our sessions, Chioma. I don't even remember now how many weeks, the first few weeks. I don't know if it was the first 6 weeks, first 7 weeks. I can't remember. She cried at every session
Mm.
because of the questions I would ask and because she had to relive the stories. Okay. And she was so apologetic. She was like, maybe we should just stop. And I was like, no, ma'am. I've allocated an hour. I'm going to help you push through. You don't owe me an apology. I'm here and you're in a safe place. So I said, just grab you some tissues and we're going to keep going. And I will give her time to pause and to breathe. And I cannot tell you at what point in time her crying stopped. Once the book was published, which was October of 2024, I was informed somewhere in that window of time that she had been seeing a therapist for years. Now, this is a woman that's almost 70 years old, and she had been seeing a therapist off and on for years. Once her book was published, she shared her book with the therapist, and her therapist told her, I knew something had changed about you in the course of your visits. He
Wow.
he told her, you don't need me anymore. You're better. And it was because when I say it's a cathartic experience, she says, I don't cry anymore when I tell my story. I don't feel the shame anymore when I tell my story. When her book debuted and launched in October, by Christmas, she had sold over right at about 600 copies. And she had been booked for about 4 or 5 speaking engagements.
Wow.
She has since co-authored another project and is working on her third. She does not mind telling her story, and her story has gone from simply a message to a movement because now she's encouraged other women to do the same. That's what we do with the Chosen Pen Group, and that's why I consider myself and embrace the title as the Success Strategist. Is not simply getting the book complete, but is seeing them attain a level of success, not necessarily dollars and cents, but to become a better version of themselves. The woman who was first very reserved, fearful, and shameful to tell her story is now become a voice to encourage other women to do the same. That's what I
Mm.
love about what I do.
No, that's a good one. That's a good testimonial of the of that client. No, that's a good one. And I feel like maybe that was even therapeutic for her, is getting it out
It
on that
was.
book.
It really
That
was.
was
She
her
said
healing.
her therapist told her, you don't have to come back to me unless you just want to.
Yeah.
Because he
Wow.
began to see her transformation and wasn't sure what it was. And when she presented the book, that's when he said to her,
Mm,
and he actually, it was in the course of that, he wanted to write, he did a gorgeous review of not only who she was, but who she's become.
man, that's amazing. So, man, that is amazing. I love that testimonial. So, this is the Becoming the Proverbs 31 podcast, and I always ask all my guests, what quality of the Proverbs 31 woman do you most identify with and why?
Okay, Chioma, I love that question first and foremost because the Proverbs 31 woman was a study I did myself many, many years ago when I transitioned from working outside of the government and I made the decision to leave my good government job. And I found myself in a cloudy spot and I began to ask questions of God, what am I going to do now? I knew that entrepreneurship was the avenue for which I were to go. And that's when he began to download specific things from his word. And when I said, I understand that, I see where you're going, but I need an example. I need a practical guide, an example of what you're communicating to me. And he took me to the Proverbs 31 woman. Now, like many women that grew up in a Christian home, we studied the Proverbs 31 woman, at church or heard about her. Unfortunately, I didn't see her in the light that was revealed to me. I see the Proverbs 31 woman as being a compilation of women. She is multifaceted. She's not only one who prioritizes her marriage and her family first and her faith, but she understands the value she brings to community and she understands the value that she brings to the marketplace. She's all of that and then some, as we say.
Mhm.
What do I love about one of the things that was like most revelatory for me in studying it myself is she had maid servants,
She
which
had
meant
help.
when she got up that morning, she
She had
took
help.
care of her family with providing them with food, but then she gave assignments to her maid servants. That revealed to me that we were never supposed to do this alone. We always should have a community of others to help us. Now we
Mhm.
don't call them maid servants, but I do call them chefs. I call them Instacart. I call
Yes.
them virtual assistants. I call them
Yeah.
housekeepers. That
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I call them caterers. That's what I call them. So we should have never embraced the philosophy that we were to do this by ourselves. We were meant to blossom and bloom in community, and we need to create our community to support us in the things in which we desire to do. So that was one of the biggest takeaways. I never saw that. I was like, why am I so exhausted? Because I don't have maid servants. Where are they? So
Mhm.
that was one of the biggest things. And I think that's why I don't think I know that's why I'm really big on community. I'm very big on creating community first because it's through community that doors have opened for me, and it's through community that I've been able to serve others. And so I believe we become better versions of ourselves. Our territory enlarges because of the people that God places in our lives, the people that we need to be intentional about serving ourselves, but also intentional about obtaining and bringing into our community so we can do the things that we've been called to do or been assigned to do or gifted to do.
Yeah, that's true. Community is important. Like you point into each other, like you get people. That's why, like, even if you think of the church is different bodies.
It
So
is.
what the head can do this, that is
Yeah.
that is so true. So what's one final encouragement you would give to women who are ready to rise, lead, and use their voice with confidence?
Is my mantra. Your voice has value. Don't underestimate it. If you have climbed the career ladder and learned from the hard knocks of being successful, you're in the C-suite now, but you know that there are nuggets in retrospect. You owe it to the next person to share those nuggets, to share those tips to help them get to the next level. If you have overcome trauma and you've lived to tell the story, your story needs to be heard by someone else because there's someone praying as they go through the same thing that you've experienced, and they need to know that there's hope on the other side. If you have a gift of any kind, whether you have a speaking platform or not, I really believe we need to be more intentional about scripting, putting in words what it is that we have to offer by way of our message and our voice. It's tied to legacy. It's
Mhm.
tied to legacy. We know about the Proverbs 31 woman because somebody wrote it, wrote it out and left it in the Bible and we can
Yeah.
read it. And so, I don't have children, biological children. And it was God that told me that the books that I write will be my legacy. And that's why what I choose to publish has to be more than just a story told. It has to make a mark, it has to make a difference. I wanted to educate, encourage, or empower. And so that's a part of my legacy. So your story is your
Mm.
legacy. And
Yes.
we owe that to the next generation.
Yes. Yes, and that's true. And a book would outlive you. That is so true.
It
That's
will.
one
It
thing that
will.
you say it would outlive you. That's a
Absolutely.
good legacy that would outlive you. So how can people connect with you, Dr. Nissa?
Well, they can go to our website, chosenpengroup.com, for all things publishing. And of course, the content of any message that they leave will can be directed to me as a director. Social media, Facebook and LinkedIn are the two best platforms. And they
Okay.
can find me at Dr. Anissa Short on both platforms.
Okay. And I'll have all this in the description notes where your episode, so that way you can connect with Dr. Nissa. Thank you so much, Dr. Nissa, for
Thank you, Chioma.
being on the show. Really enjoyed this conversation. You dropped you're doing some amazing things,
Thank
honestly.
you. Well, to God be the glory.
Yes, yes, I really appreciate that. So, if you like content like this with Dr. Ness is doing, just more information, if you could please share, like, subscribe. See, people are viewing the show, but we need you to just subscribe. It's just a click of a button just to subscribe. So if you could just subscribe, share for information like this so we could get it to the algorithm and also hype so that more messages like this that we do with Dr. Nissa can be shared with other people as well. So thanks again for being on the show. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode. And until next time, stay blessed. Bye, everyone.